Hello, guys. Chelsea 1-0 victory over Manchester United. A brilliant goal from Marc Cucurella. Fullback combination between Reece James and Marc Cucurella manages to secure Chelsea the crucial win. And this was one game that I said that is not going to be so easy for Chelsea, as you saw. Marc Cucurella scored, and this game had a lot of intricacies, including the goal that Harry Maguire scored, which was disallowed, to Chelsea actually being dominated in the first half and coming back in the latter stages of the first half and the second half to put up a show. And this might has been a result maybe because Chelsea players had seen that Aston Villa had won against Spurs and they were 2-0 up and the game was almost done. Chelsea knew that this Manchester United game was a do or die. Win this game, you're back in it. Lose this game, it's over for you. And the players stepped up, showcasing a strong mentality. One player in particular who showed this strong mentality was Moises Caicedo. And in our video today, we are going to tactically analyze whatever happened in this game from the first minute to the last minute and the changes that Chelsea made in game to ensure they had dominance in the game, especially in the second half where they almost had more chances. Before we start, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Now, Maresca's strategy for this game was that he thought, and even said it in his press conference, that Manchester United would be stale and will not be so aggressive in their press. But that was not what happened. And actually, Manchester United played contrary. Now, Chelsea like to build up from the back. Manchester United became so aggressive in pressing Chelsea from the front. In particular, Rasmus Højlund and Mason Mount were so aggressive on Chelsea's centre-backs and goalkeepers, as you can see in this clip. Here, Chelsea are trying to build from the back. Sanchez has the ball, but you can see how Manchester United are aggressively pressing Chelsea. Probably they're taking the blueprint that Newcastle had against Chelsea at St. James's Park. Here, Chelsea now had the ball, and whenever Chelsea had the ball and tried to move into that 3-5 structure, what we saw is that Manchester United even further pushed Bruno Fernandes to join in that press, and Amad Diallo joining in that press, because Manchester United wanted to limit any time and space being taken by Chelsea's centre-backs on the ball. Here, Tosin has the ball. He's looking to play the ball onto Reece James while he's under pressure from Rasmus Højlund. The ball is arriving at Colwill's feet. Immediately, Amad Diallo is pressing Colwill, as Manchester United's front three understood that stopping Chelsea was stopping them from the centre-back's position. Now, this created problems for Chelsea. And we also saw a similar way that Manchester United were playing through Chelsea. Remember, Chelsea were looking to try and stop Manchester United, and Manchester United in the first half had majority of the ball. Now, because Manchester United were building with wing backs and a back three, they automatically outnumbered Chelsea's front two, because Chelsea like to sit in that 4-4-2 when they are pressing. And whenever Tyreek George was the one pressing, Manchester United always had a centre-back who was free on the ball. Here is that structure. Manchester United have the ball. Chelsea are looking to try and move and press them in a 4-4-2 structure. But Manchester United have that extra player in defense, and in that instant, they are able to carry the ball forward, draw in a Chelsea player, and immediately look to play the ball into midfield. Manchester United in the initial stages of the first half found Bruno Fernandes constantly in between the lines, and whenever Bruno Fernandes received this ball in this position, we noticed something. Because Chelsea were looking to press Manchester United in a man-to-man fashion, there was always space in the wide areas. And because Chelsea also had that 1v1 at the back, Manchester United decided to go directly to Rasmus Højlund. And in this instant is when we started to see the importance of Enzo Maresca's huge call in his lineup when he decided to select Tosin Rabiot as the centre-back, because Chalobah could not contain Højlund. So we started to see Lindelof receiving the ball and immediately looking to play the ball onto Mason Mount, who was coming in field. Lucky enough for Chelsea is that they had Caicedo who would pick him up, and Reece James who would sometimes look to move in field. And when Reece James moved in field, here is where the problem started to happen for Chelsea. Because now, whenever Reece James moved in field, spaces were opening up in that right back position, and Manchester United's left wing back always had that time and space. The problem is that Man United did not have a very good wing back in that position to cause problems to Chelsea. And whenever Manchester United would, especially Fernandes, would switch the ball onto that side, Manchester United would find themselves in positions where they could easily hurt Chelsea. In some instances, Caicedo would win the ball in midfield from Mason Mount, then play the ball to Cole Palmer. And in this instant, Cole Palmer had a perfect pass laid on to Tyreek George, which Chelsea did not capitalize. Now, when you look at this, you realize that despite Manchester United going long, Chelsea did not concede a lot of goals when they lost the ball. And this is because of Chelsea's structure and Moises Caicedo, while Manchester United conceded 2 huge chances when they lost the ball. And how did this happen? You see, in Harry Maguire's first goal against Chelsea that was disallowed, Manchester United looked to replicate something that they saw Newcastle do against Chelsea, and that is trying to overload the back post, then switching the ball towards the back post. That's just what Newcastle did against Chelsea to score the first goal. You see, they identified that Chelsea like to play an aggressive high line. And because Chalobah played the player onside and he was not aerially dominant to win the ball, Tonali had that space to score that goal in that far post area. And Manchester United scored that goal in that area. And this was because they always wanted to have that 2v1 against Chelsea's fullback. And that's why Manchester United's wing backs kept on giving problems to Chelsea. And because of this constant overloading of the back post, Chelsea really suffered in those kinds of situations while trying to play Manchester United. And Maresca had to adjust Chelsea in this system because Maresca knew that Manchester United were going man-to-man in this situation. We started to see even Cole Palmer dropping deep. And when Palmer would drop deep, he would drag out one of Manchester United's centre-backs from the back line forward. Palmer sometimes will be so deep that Manchester United's wing-back will have to leave Neto and try to follow him up. And now the space was opening up for Pedro Neto. And Chelsea were looking now to receive the ball and immediately look to play the ball to Pedro Neto as they fancied him over Manchester United's left-sided centre-back. And the ball will be received by Neto and immediately Neto will look to run. And Chelsea constantly exploited that situation. Another thing is that Chelsea identified that with Fernandes also dropping and Cucurella dropping from the left-hand side, they would play the ball onto the half-space region for the runs of Noni Madueke. And because of this space in that half-space region that was being generated, we started to see Cucurella bombing forward to occupy that position. And time again, Cucurella started to receive the ball in this position and shifting the ball out wide for Noni. Noni would be put one-on-one with Mazraoui, who Noni Madueke was constantly dribbling past. And Noni Madueke will find himself in a position where he would have a cutback. In this instant, Reece James had an opportunity where the ball fell to him, but he failed to actually score, which in my opinion, it was a very strong position for him. And also in these circumstances, Chelsea sometimes will lose the ball in dangerous areas, but credit to Chelsea's structure where they would easily win that ball. We also found Fernandes looking to shift the ball constantly towards the far wide area so that they could stretch Chelsea's defense and look to have cutbacks. But that did not work quite so well for Manchester United. But in the first half, they constantly tore into Chelsea's backline by having and isolating Reece James. But Noni Madueke's position was the most fascinating because Noni Madueke would cross the ball in a very dangerous ground with Chelsea flooding the box with so many players. As you can see from this graph here, look at Chelsea. Chelsea looked to dominate chance creation from minute 1 to minute 90. Though we did have some spells where Manchester United also attempted to do that. Now, Chelsea had to adapt in the way they build up, and that was moving into a box midfield. And moving into that box midfield entailed that Fernandes had to drop from that forward line and actually join Caicedo during build-up. And because of this situation, what we started to see is that now Cucurella would push into the wide areas and look to create those overloads together with Noni Madueke. These overloads were creating problems for Manchester United in that Chelsea were having a player wide while still stretching Manchester United. And this constant stretching of Manchester United's backline was what was creating a lot of problems for Manchester United. And that's how Reece James found himself in the edge of the box. He managed to dribble and confuse Garnacho, whipping a lovely cross where he expected Cucurella to be there. And Cucurella was in the right position at the right time, who was able to actually head the ball into the back of the net and give Chelsea the necessary lead. And this goal was reminiscent of what Reece James had done in the past. Even minutes after that, also Palmer received the ball in between the lines and played the ball to Noni Madueke. And Noni Madueke in this position, the ball was in his stronger left foot. It is very prudent for him to just let the ball and try to hit the ball into the far post area, and that would have given Chelsea a win. Manchester United also had a chance later on in the game, but Sanchez managed to save it, especially that goal attempted shot from Garnacho in the far post area. Also, we had Malo Gusto. He came on. I didn't understand why Gusto looked tired and he was on. And also Fofana noticed something like that. Now, Chelsea's 1-0 victory was very, very important, and you can see even the touches in the box that improved heavily in the second half. Enzo Maresca was so delighted about the game, so amazed about the game, and really enjoyed the game. However, the game and the fight is still not over, as Chelsea really need to win away at Nottingham Forest, one of their rivals. The only way Chelsea can do this probably is if Nottingham Forest lose their game and then they have nothing to play for, since they will not qualify for the Champions League. But it's going to be a very tough game for Chelsea. Do you think Chelsea will still edge it out? Leave your comments in the comment section area below. Thanks for watching and see you in our next video. Bye.